Alicia, and today we have the long-awaited comp that I've been waiting for since we qualified last year for it, which is the Youth Australian Dressage Championships, aka Nationals. So that's where we're off to today for day one. We have both our novice tests today. Our first test is at 1:30, so it's a later start, which is nice, when tomorrow's a bit earlier. So yeah, we're about to go get Jep. Well, we're walking down to get Jep, and they're both sleeping, both lying down. Hello, Moose. Hello, little chubber. You look awfully comfy, don't you? Awfully comfy. I'll let you be. I know you'll get up as soon as we take Jep, but you can stay there. She doesn't seem too impressed. And of course her tail's out of her tail bag. What's new, Jep? What's new? Little Pep. Hello. Who's on your back? Kyle's on you. Ready to get up?
No. This horse refuses to get up.
Jeppy. Jep. Come on. Come on. Come on, Jep. She's like, this is the time of the morning when I sleep. You don't normally bother me at this time. Come on. Come on. Can't get her off. Roll over, roll back, and then push yourself up. Good girl. Come on. She's like, really stretch it out. Oh, bloody mares. Bloody mares. Alright. Let's go. Ready, Jeppy? Ready? Okay guys, so this was the first test for the comp and also the one I was most happy with. The first thing I'm going to say is our halts were not good though. We really need to work on our halts more at home because, I don't know, lately they just haven't been good, and it was a shame because, you know, the marks, especially for this test, were so close between all of us top competitors, like the top results. So if I had 2 square halts, I could have moved up the placings. But yes, as you can see, arena conditions were horrible. The drainage, I've never competed at SIAC before, and this is also the International Equestrian Centre. So this is where the Olympics are held for the equestrians when we have the Olympics in Australia. These are the outdoor arenas, so you'd think the drainage would be better, but oh well. Jep still coped with the conditions so well. I was pretty happy with her leg yields and her first length, and that just was a couple steps ago. I was just really happy with her this test. Sorry about the other competitor just walking in front of me. And here we come across for our second length, and it's not as good as the first, but you can see that little hind end hock action. Go Jeppy. So first time being at these grounds for both of us, but she handled it really well, handled the conditions really well, especially in this test, because we had some issues with puddles in our other tests, even though this is probably the worst arena. And I came out of it, obviously her legs were, nice leg yield Jeppy, her legs were covered in mud, but so was my face from our lengthen canters. And yeah, so I've left the walk-in because I figured I may as well leave the walk-in for this this competition, just so you can see everything in my test. Now, I do talk about places and everything at the end, but I was the most happy with this test and place because our novices, so this first day, had the biggest field of competitors, and like there was so many ponies in this test, so it was really good for us to come out with the results we did. But yeah, I was pretty much like, it's not the best test we've done, like a best novice we've done. However, I was so happy with her, and I feel like she couldn't have done anything better. And if I was being picky, it would have been me, not her. So I was literally, in my last halt, I was like fighting back tears because I was just so happy with her, and I was just so happy to be here. I had a little emotional moment in the warm-up on the second day as well, like not really emotional, but I was just walking around in the long rain and just looking at like the beautiful indoor and where we were, and I was like, I'm just so grateful to even be here, let alone competing at a national competition. Like it still blows my mind that we were both here. But yeah, so I'm just gonna keep going with the test. So, oh, another horse. She did really well, and you can see the puddles and the mud splashing up, and it just didn't faze her. She was so good. She had the perfect amount of energy in this test as well. I wasn't having to hold her back, which happens sometimes. Like, she can be lazy in the warm-up, but then as soon as we get into the arena, she sparks up with energy, which actually happened the second day, and it ended like it wasn't working to our favor. But this day she just had the perfect amount of energy. I wasn't having to hold her back. I wasn't having to really push her forward. I was just letting her do her, and it worked really well. And we got so many nice comments for this test as well from the judges. Comments like, very business-like pony. I personally love that. I think it's cute. And that we were a great combination, and that the test was a very fluent test. So really nice comments. It was definitely our best test from the weekend. So I was really happy with her. And then we have our long range trot. Could have had a little bit more stretch in that trot, but that's okay. And now we're coming up the center line for our last halt. She was just really good. I was very happy with her. So definitely my favourite test of the comp. And here we have our last halt. I don't remember what this one looked like. That one was pretty good. Good halt. We just did our first test, and I am so happy with her. Ow, it's my finger. I couldn't have asked any more of her. She was so good. We've just hosed off her legs because, as you can see, the arenas were so muddy. So we've just hosed off her legs ready for her next test. And I'm about to give her a little treat because she was so good. Oh, she's peeing. Good girl. Get all that out before your next test. You have a bit of a break. I'll get you a carrot. Oh, sorry, I didn't have it ready. So I'm gonna clean off her tack because I cleaned off her stirrups and stuff. There you go. But her girth is quite muddy, so we'll just tidy that up. And clean off my boots. Lovely. Okay, of course we couldn't have two great tests in one day. That just couldn't happen, unfortunately. But this is the Novice 2C. Pretty good halt. Thought our halts were a lot worse. Must be day 2 that they get bad. She was very lazy, and it really showed. And yeah. So I would probably say this was, maybe not the worst, I don't know. It just, none of the tests compared to yesterday. I mean, the test before, unfortunately. That was our attempt of a lengthen, and she just was very lazy, so I couldn't get anything out of her, unfortunately. As you can see, when I am using my legs, I'm not using my spur every time I kick, by the way. So I'm using a lot of but I'm also using a lot of just my lower leg when I do use my leg, so not every time, because you can see my legs going quite a lot. It's not always the spur. That was our leg yield. So of course I was using a bit of the spur there. But yes, our little circle, it just lacked impulsion, unfortunately. The score and the comment from the judges weren't actually as bad as I thought they were going to be. I thought we were going to have a very badly marked test because it just didn't feel good. But surprisingly, it wasn't too bad, which was nice. We still scored quite well. I think we got a 64 for this test, or a 63. It was not higher than 64, I know that, but it was like a 62, 64-ish mark, which is, you know, kind of like our average, so that's pretty good because it definitely didn't feel like our average test. I felt like I had to work double time for this, so yeah. Oh, that was the other issue. As you would have just seen, I was using a lot of my inside leg just before. It's because there was a puddle on the track there, and every time we'd go past that puddle, she'd try and drift off the track into the, like, quarter line, and obviously we need straightness, so that wasn't ideal. It's just before that car, but you can't quite see it. But every time we went down that part of the arena, she would avoid it, or it just was messy. Yep, so here is our walk. It's supposed to be a medium walk here. It's not too bad. Could have more impulsion though. Oh, it's a long medium walk too, that's right. And then we go into our free walk. So the unfortunate thing for this test is it's very obvious that I'm working hard to get her forward, which is not what you want. If you are having to work hard to get your horse forward in a dressage test, you don't want it to be as obvious as I was having to make it be. But because it was so hard, it wasn't something I could do subtly, unfortunately. So we would have lost marks for that. But that's okay. We still scored better than I thought we would. Lost the contact a little bit. And here we have our medium walk. There's the puddle. She's going through it now. So you could see her kind of drifting, and I was just trying to not let her drift out through her shoulder. Here we have our first left lead canter. The canter wasn't too bad. Her canter's her strong gait, I find. Her weakest is definitely the walk, and then trot canter. I just find that her canter's always the neatest, always scores the best. We got all 7s for her canter, which was really good. From all judges, they all gave us 7s for all of her canter, so, or maybe not all of her canter, but a lot of her canter. Where we did score higher and got 7s and 7.5s, it was in the canter, in this test, not in anything else. So her canter, I think, is what kind of brought our score up a bit, and then she tried to drift out through that puddle again. And here we come across the diagonal for our simple change. She got it in the right striding, because it has to be between 3 to 4 steps of trot in between. So 1, 2, well, it was like, yeah, just 3. But it was just, it could have been a bit cleaner, but that's alright. Nice right lead canter going there. Pretty nice pace. Here we have our little loop, encounter canter. Half encounter canter, not really, but yep. And here we come along for our 15-meter circle. It's not too bad, pretty balanced. See, I'm not having to work as hard in the canter, as you can tell. Like, you're not watching my legs go as much as you are in the trot. There's our lengthen canter. Definitely needed more lengthen in it, but that's okay. And then we come up to C for our transition back down to trot, which was quite a nice transition. And then we come across the diagonal for our last lengthen. You can see a hop going a little bit, so yeah, little bit of lengthen, not much, nowhere near as enough. She tried to kind of come up from the contact there. Now we go up the center line, and then we come up for our halt. Yeah, damn. Last test of the day finished. Jeppy's having a little snooze. It definitely wasn't as good as our first. Wasn't very happy with the second. There was a puddle in the arena that kept putting her off as well, which didn't help. So every time we went past that puddle, it was just messy. And she was quite tired. So it just wasn't the best test, but it was okay. We got an 8th place in our first test for the Novice 2B. Woo. Okay, so we are back from day 1. It is 9 o'clock at night. We have walked in at 8:30 because the presentation ran late and we had to drive home, obviously. I'm tired. I'm about to go to bed. As you can see, I'm in my pajamas. But I thought I'd do a quick little summary. So as you guys would have seen, we got 8th in our first test, which was amazing. I was really happy with that test. As I walked out of it, I was unbelievably happy with it. So I'm pretty happy that we managed to be in the places for that. But as you would have heard, my disappointment in the 2C was valued. The judges obviously weren't a fan either, so we were way out of the placings for that test. It was just not good, and there was nothing. The puddle made it. I mean, I'm not gonna get into it too much because I'm sure I would have spoken about it quite a lot. First test really good, second test not good, but we didn't have any errors or anything. The test was still written accurately. I was just not happy with the writing side of things and Jep's lack of energy by that point. But yeah, so tomorrow we have a super early start. Alarms are set for 4:30 a.m. What? Yeah. Yeah. Right, we're one of the first few riders of the day starting tomorrow, and then we have a 6-hour break before my next test, which is ridiculous, but yeah. So I'm gonna go to bed. Yeah, bye.